welcome back to my channel. I hope you're doing really well. If you don't know me and this is your first video on my channel, hi, I'm Laura. I am a second year student at Liverpool Hope University. I'm currently 20 years old, I think that's right. And this is my bucket list video. I thought whilst we can't travel and I am eager to travel, I thought I'd just go through my bucket list, where I want to go, what I want to do, what I want to see, and chat it through with you. I love these kinds of videos and I spend quite a lot of my time watching people like Cara and Nate, Flying the Nest, and there's another couple, The Endless Adventure, I think they're called. Essentially travelling through their eyes. So I thought I'd make my own travel bucket list. Well, just bucket list in general, what I want to do. Maybe 30 things that I want to do before I turn 30. But I think there's 25 on here. I'm not going to get these all done before I'm 25, I'm sure. But yeah, without further ado, let's get into this video. So I have 25 things on my list of things I would love to do at some point in my life. Some are definitely smaller than others, some are definitely bigger. I'm just going to run through them and chat them through with you. Walk on a glacier. I have touched a glacier. So I went to Iceland when I was 15 with school and we hiked up and we could touch the bottom of the glacier. I'll put a picture in somewhere on the screen. But that was really cool, but I was only 15 at the time and I hadn't studied glaciers or glaciation or anything like that before. So now that I've studied it and I do it at degree level, I'd love to go and walk on a glacier, do a trek up a glacier. Yeah, possibly Iceland, possibly somewhere else, probably Iceland. But yeah, that's number one. Number two, stay in a treehouse. The idea of staying in a treehouse to me is really cool. There's no snakes on the ground, hopefully, because you're up in the trees. And I just love the sound of birds, nature, that kind of thing. And I just think it'd be really cool to do. I'd love to stay in somewhere really exotic, really kind of hidden away. I'd love to be able to see the stars as well, which I know is a bit more difficult when you're in a tree and there's a tree above you. I'd love to stay in a treehouse. Number three, fly in a helicopter. I've never flown in a helicopter and I think they'd be terrifying, but I definitely think it's something I'd like to do in my life. Possibly over kind of London, New York, or over somewhere like Iceland. A massive glacier so you can see it from above, the Alps, that kind of thing. I got this idea from watching Bear Grylls with Miranda Hart the other day. Is she called Miranda Hart? Is she just Miranda? Yeah, I got that idea from watching Miranda and Bear Grylls' adventure thing the other day. And it just looks so cool, so I'd love to do that. I'd also love to send my mum and dad to the Isles of Scilly. So my dad used to go there every year for his family holiday. I'll put some pictures up now. Yeah, he used to go there every year for his family holiday when he was a child. It's just south of Cornwall and they are beautiful islands. So I'd love to pay for be able to pay for my mum and dad to go and stay there for a week or two at some point in my life. I've sent them to Rome before. 2 years ago maybe? Yeah, I sent them to Rome for Christmas. Well, I bought them tickets to go to Rome for Christmas and they really enjoyed it. So one day I'd love to be able to pay for them to go and stay on the Isles of Scilly because it means so much to my dad. I'd also love to become fluent in a language, probably French, because that's the only one I have any idea of. Obviously I can speak fluent English and I've done a bit of sign language in the past, but I would love to become fluent in French. My auntie is I think she's fluent in French, and we went and stayed in St Malo with her. She doesn't live there, she came on holiday with us to St Malo a few years ago. Again, a really, really beautiful place. But she could speak fluent French and it was so cool. And I was studying for my GCSEs at the moment. I did a French GCSE and I just love to be able to speak completely fluently in a different language, and French would be my language of choice. Number 6, I think we're on. I'd love to give a TED talk. I love watching TED talks because I find them really interesting, but I don't think I'm that interesting or have that much of a dramatic life to give a TED talk yet. Who knows what my life will become in the future, but I'd love to give a TED talk on something interesting. I don't know what. I'd have to do a lot of research first, but I'd love to give a TED talk at some point in my life. Number 7 is give a message in a bottle. Send a message in a bottle and get a response. I know this is really niche and probably never, like, it's an easy thing to do, but I don't know if I would ever get a response. But yeah, I just love the idea of putting a message in a bottle and it travelling around the world and I get a letter or an email or something back from somebody somewhere in the world. In case you can't tell, I have a fascination with knowing more about the world, just exploring things that go on. So I'd love to have some form of communication from somewhere across the world to know a little bit more about their life. I just think that'd be so cool. Number 8 is to become a National Trust tour guide. This would be possibly one of my favourite jobs ever, especially in summer if it's really pretty or really nice and really warm. Probably somewhere of kind of geographical point, sense, knowledge, I guess. Somewhere like the Giant's Causeway, or yeah, that's the only one I've thought of so far. Somewhere like the Giant's Causeway or like Stonehenge if that's a National Trust place. Just because I think I have the geographical knowledge. I think I'm quite easy to chat to. I'm quite talkative, in case you hadn't guessed. But yeah, I'd love to do something like that. Number 9, I'm gonna lose fingers in a minute. I'd love to be paid to travel for something. Whether it's a business trip, whether it's for YouTube, whether, I don't know. That's just on my bucket list. At some point, I want someone to pay me to travel somewhere. Really random, I know. I don't know where I'd travel, literally anywhere at this point. I think I'd visit as many places as I could, but yeah, I'd love to do that. I'd also like to write a book. Number 10 is write a book. So I started writing a book when I was in my A-level year, first year of A-levels. I watched someone on YouTube that mentioned writing a whole book in November, so it was the November novel. And I think I got 6 chapters in, probably about 15,000 words. So it's quite a long 6 chapters, but I really enjoyed it. It was all about a girl who lived on the Isle of Man. She escaped, went to New York and had started her new life in New York, but I never finished it. So I'd love to finish that book one day. And I mean, I don't imagine it to ever be published, but I think it's a way to express my creativity, which, I mean, I've got YouTube now, but one day maybe I'll come on here with a 10-hour long audiobook of my story. Don't hold me to that, it's probably never gonna happen. Number 11, work with or for someone famous. I think famous people, celebrities, whatever you want to call them, they've cracked something to get to where they are. And I'd just love to spend a month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, whatever, shadowing them, working alongside them, just to kind of see what they do, how they do it. And then these two I'm kind of just going to interlink. So 12 and 13 are get engaged and get married. They're just 2 things I've always wanted. I've always wanted a family, and because I'm a Christian, that can't happen until I'm married in the same way. It's always been one of my life goals to get engaged and get married. I think it's probably quite a typical thing for most people. Family and friends are so important, and to be able to choose my family, that's kind of what you do when you get a boyfriend, girlfriend, isn't it? You kind of choose your family. Yeah, I'd love to be able to choose my family and get married one day. Fingers crossed. I kind of mentioned this before, so I think this is 14 now. Go stargazing. I love watching the stars. So if I get home of an evening and the sky is really clear and like the stars are out, I will just stand outside for a few minutes and just look at the stars, but it's usually quite cold. But I'd love to go on like a stargazing date, just in a car or in a field with like a picnic rug, some food, some snacks, and just lie there and watch the stars with someone. It just seems so nice. I love the stars. I just think there's something so cool about being able to look out of our atmosphere and just see kind of what God's done in all these other galaxies that we haven't possibly ever visited. I don't know too much about NASA. I don't know where they've been. But yeah, I just find stars so amazing. We used to go to the World Museum in Liverpool literally every week when I was a kid, because I was always obsessed with space and stars and rockets and everything. So yeah, I'd just love to go properly stargazing on a stargazing date with somebody at some point. I'd also love to see a whale in the wild. There's something about whales, I love their tails, that rhymed, that just mesmerises me. They're beautiful animals. They're kind of scary because they're huge, but I'd love to see one in the wild, possibly in Iceland, possibly, I don't even know where you find whales these days. Obviously not the country, the actual animal. But yeah, I'd love to see some whales. I just think it'd be so cool because they are so massive, and yeah, the grandeur of Wales is just madness. So this next one is a little bit more random and I don't actually know if it's ever possible. I would love to save a life. In whatever way that looks like. I don't know how that looks. I just think it would be one of those things that if I can, I'd love to be able to say, yeah, I've saved someone's life and I know it for sure. And then we're on to our last 8. This is a really random number. So number, I don't even know. Riding a hot air balloon. I think they're so cool, and there's something about being kind of weightless and just floating that looks really cool. Terrifying, but cool. So yeah, I'd love to do that one day. These are now getting to kind of bigger things that I really definitely want to do, so I kind of went backwards up my list. So these are my 7 most desired things on my bucket list. Number 7, swim between the continental plates in Iceland. There's a place called Silfra, and I'll put some pictures on now, and you can literally swim between 2 continental plates in Iceland because they're part of the mid-Atlantic rift, so they're constantly moving apart, so they're just going to get wider. So there's even more space to swim. They only move like 1 to 5 centimetres a year though, so not drastic, but I would absolutely love to do it. I think it'd be so cool to say, because I've walked between them when I went to Iceland when I was 15, like I mentioned earlier, to swim between them. Yes, it'd be freezing, but it'd be so cool to do. Following on from the Iceland thing, I'd also love to see the Northern Lights. When I was there, the Northern Lights were a thing on my first night, but we got up at 3 AM to be at school to get a flight to come back, and the Northern Lights arrived about 2 AM the next day, and as you could probably tell, we were all knackered, so we were all asleep and no one saw them, which is so sad because the rest of the time they didn't show up. So yeah, one day I would absolutely love to see the Northern Lights in real life, not just on a screen. I would also love to travel to all 7 continents. Antarctica is probably the most unachievable of them, but I would love to visit the Antarctic continent at some point in my life. I'm a geographer, I want to travel so much. Following on from that, I'd love to visit 50 different countries. I think I counted the other day and I've seen 10. So I've done England, Wales, Northern Ireland, Ireland, Isle of Man. I haven't actually ever been to Scotland, which is probably an easy-ish one to do. France, Spain, Italy, Iceland and America. I've also been to Greece when I was like... Have I been to Greece? I think my mum and dad went to Greece when they were pregnant with me, so technically not. And also Jersey, but I was 4, so I actually don't remember it. So the ones I've remembered, I've done 10, so I have 40 more to do. I'd love to go to places like the Czech Republic, Slovenia, Slovakia, Croatia, Greece, Japan, China, Australia, New Zealand, Mexico, Cuba, loads, literally. You name a place, I'll probably want to go. But yeah, that's one of my biggest like life aims, visit 50 countries before I die. A way to do that, maybe, this is kind of a hit or miss because it's really expensive, but I would love to do a world cruise, so to just be on a cruise for like 2-3 months and just travel around the world. There's something about cruising. I've only ever been on one cruise, but it's so easy, it's very relaxing. The only thing is you don't get to spend a lot of time in each port, but if you can see the world, and the one I've found has 33 different countries on it, which that would get me closer to 50. Yeah, I'd love to do it one day. And then last, finally, absolute top of my bucket list is to visit all of the 7 wonders of the world. I can't say I've been to any of them. Yeah, no, I've not been to any of them, but I would love to visit absolutely all of them. There's just something about the ancient world that is really interesting to me. So thank you so much for watching this video. I hope, I don't know, I might have inspired you to write your own bucket list to travel somewhere. If not, go make yourself a bucket list, why not? Leave me some of the things that are at the top of your bucket list in the comments below, and I will see you on Saturday, 10 AM Saturday, for my next video. Bye guys.